The What It Takes Radio Company presents another version of Inconvenient Ideas because everything you thought you knew might be wrong. However, today have a special idea. Could it be that you would really be grateful if you could make your own bed? Wouldn't that make you just very happy if you could do that? There's a story there. May I tell it to you today? Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be back with another go at Inconvenient Ideas. It is May 11th, as I said, 2026. And what has happened in the last 2 or 3 months has been very world changing in so many ways for so many people. The literal explosion of what AI is going to do to the marketplace is now being felt. And it is going to be very, very significant. Obviously, what's also happening is that the war with the Middle East in Iran is going to come to a major uh, blow up or shut down point. And that's going to affect a lot of things. Yes, we are in challenging and changing times, and that means it can be quite inconvenient. And at the middle of this inconvenience, we'd like to take some time to enjoy life, maybe say something that's significant yet inconvenient, but at the same time, help you. And I'm going to be asking many of you to come forward and share your wisdom, insight, and truth, and most importantly, tell your story that could be helpful and significant both for you and for others. I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and here it is. Uh, as you will see, the name of the book is Route 66, and the name is Jim Hinckley, editor. Now, here's the deal. Jim Hinckley is one of my favorite friends, and I've got a lot of friends, but not all of them are favorite. And the reason he's a favorite is because he is so uniquely creative, and as he would say, uniquely weird. And he oftentimes says, and I quote him on this, he said, it's perhaps better to have your mind full of trivia and useless information and useless knowledge than to have it full of nothing at all. Well, for years, Jim has been writing about Route 66 and in especially the history of the cars that made the route what it was. The famous highway that is now celebrating, for those particularly in America, but let me tell you, Route 66 has followers all around the world. People who read the books, watch the old videos, still interested, still making tourist trips to the places of Route 66, that road that went from Chicago to Los Angeles through the Western world. And that's what people did and they've done it for 100 years. The highway was established 100 years ago. And Jim has put together that book, which is just full of stories and pictures of Route 66. And what I was telling him is that one of the things that we now know about the world of broadcasting and publishing, which is growing by leaps and bounds, not traditional radio, no, not traditional television, but of course, the internet streaming medium is now taking over. That more and more people will watch the films, certainly on streaming, than they will by going to the theater. And more people will be listening to podcasts and digital radio than they will be listening to the traditional broadcast radio. As one of my friends who is in the radio business has said to me, he said, we'll survive and there will always be radio. but it will not necessarily be the same kind of radio that we're used to, which is we broadcast a program once and it goes through a 50,000-watt transmitter through a 500-foot tower. Uh, that won't be sustainable. It will be as you are, Stan, sitting there with probably $100 microphone and a computer and a $25 a month piece of software, and have the knowledge and the friendships and the information to use it to literally go around the world. Now that's news and a unique story for me because 30 some years ago, when I began my broadcasting career with missionary radio, we were broadcasting on a 500,000-watt transmitter that chewed up, drank up, hundreds and thousands of gallons of diesel fuel just to run the generator. And those high towers of 500 to 700 feet, all of that was a very expensive way to send a radio program around the world. Well, that's not necessary anymore. So all of that is changing. And it's going to be very inconvenient for a lot of people, as well as it will be convenient for many others. In effect, YouTube is the dominant video channel, not ABC, NBC, CBS, any of the traditional broadcast channels, and certainly even more than many of the way to go cable channels. And of course, many of you are now discovering that cut the cable is becoming a phenomenon, as more and more people are saying, I don't need to pay the cable price. I can somehow make it by just arranging the way I do streaming, and in effect save myself a little bit of money and have a lot more opportunity to watch the videos and the shows and the programs I want. And I can watch them when I want and on almost any kind of device that I want. It has changed profoundly. How are you going to respond to this in your business? Because it's going to affect your business. A gentleman said to me, Stan, I have a plumbing business. And I said, well, that's a good business to be in. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, everybody needs water and everybody needs to go to the bathroom. And that's what you do. And he smiled and said, yeah, I make that possible. I said, but here's the issue is, there will be people who will learn how to do some of that themselves. And who will be the person who will help them do some of it themselves? But then when it gets to a level of difficulty, when they need somebody to help them, then the person who has helped them get it for free, the person who has helped them do it themselves, will be the person they call on when they can't do it themselves. And that will be the plumber or the air conditioning guy who has put his wisdom, insight, and truth and his offer on the channel, on the internet, doing streaming, broadcasting, and entertaining and educating. All of that is going to happen, and it's going to change. And many people who make their living by advising. I spent many years helping people who were in the insurance business because they had the wisdom and the insight and the truth, and they were very good at helping people buy insurance. But the point is now a lot of what they do and what they can do in terms of wisdom and information, the people can now get relatively for free. And even the insurance companies, the financial advisors and the insurance agents themselves used to say, if the companies could find a way to sell it without us, they would certainly take advantage of that so they wouldn't have to pay us commissions and that they could take some of the resource that they normally would give to us. Well, they're doing that. And the same thing is true for travel agents and for many people who are the middlemen in the transactions between buyers and sellers. Those people are possibly in trouble unless they become new and unique and creative, or they do something so well that they can dominate the channel. And as I was telling a good friend I just talked to him, I said, Jim, you have been doing stories about Route 66 longer than all the other people. You can now begin to use your wisdom, insight, and truth and your stories, of which he has thousands of. You could become the storyteller of Route 66 and perhaps dominate that informational entertainment channel. And that's what we're going to work on. And uh, after 40 years of doing this and making a living, now perhaps he can even make a little bit more of a living and make a little bit more money doing that, because he now can have an entire worldwide audience. All of that is inconvenient ideas. But I wanted to actually get to the point where I'm at now at 10 minutes to just get you thinking about that, but to talk about something that's incredibly an inconvenient idea, but it's a powerful idea. And here we go. It's vital to be grateful in spite of everything. Now, this is what came to me and why I'm very grateful. A number of years ago, a young girl named Johnny Erickson, a very athletic young woman, very bright, beautiful, dove, yeah, and she didn't check the depth. 17 years of age, and bang, hit her neck, came up, and at the age of 17, she lived, but she was paralyzed, almost totally paralyzed. The story of her life is incredible. She then went on. She learned how to draw using her mouth. She, of course, became a storyteller, speaker, worked hard, but she's totally paralyzed. A lot of it was of the spiritual force. Her deep religious faith, her Christian testimony was a part of how she lived and survived. And that she's gone on and had an incredible outreach helping disabled people. Just, the thousands, the hundreds of thousands, the millions of people who are living with incredible disabilities and trying to make a life happen. And yeah, and she's had an incredible influence. But she does have some wishes and regrets. One of the things that she said that she could hardly wait to get to heaven in one respect is because she can start dancing again. And just yesterday, it was noted that she was, she's, still alive. She's now 76 years old. Been paralyzed a long, long time. And here's what came to me, because just as my wife was telling me that story, I was in the process of doing what I oftentimes do, making my own bed. And boom, 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 boom. I'm pretty good at it. I always do it. And then I usually go out and help my wife empty the dishwasher. And all of a sudden it struck me. What would Johnny Erickson Tada have given? How much would she love to be able to make her own bed? How much she would love to be able to empty the dishwasher? How much she would love to shake, rattle, and roll and dance. I had the opportunity to meet her personally a number of years ago during the time when I was working in a broadcast situation in Amsterdam. And bright, beautiful. She got married, and he was and still is one of her primary caregivers, though she has to have, with her busy schedule. She's a worldwide famous person with radio programs, broadcasts, but still completely paralyzed. And that means maybe we should be very grateful for some of the things that we can do. And I said, yeah, I get to make the bed every morning. I get to empty the dishwasher. I get to take the garbage out. I get to do that. And no problem. How lucky I am. Indeed. So there we go. In the midst of all of the challenges that I have and you have, and we all have, let's make sure that we take some time to enter into the zone. What I oftentimes say is, let's spend some time in the gratitude zone of life. Just make a point. We talk about the various different zones, but take time every day, inconveniently, perhaps, just to say thank you, just to say, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the opportunities I have. Here I am. At this age and stage, I have the ability to make friends around the world. And I am very, very grateful for you, grateful for that. It may be an inconvenient idea to be grateful for all those other things in life, but perhaps, as I oftentimes remind myself, a thankful and grateful heart is seldom a fearful heart. There we go. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been helpful on a Monday, May 11th. And just carry this with you a little bit today and maybe through the month, and have it come back from time to time. Let it sit on your head, stir your mind, maybe touch your heart, and then use that gratitude as something you can pass on to others. Gratefulness, the gratitude zone. Think about that. I'm Stan. Thank you for your time. We are in the business of helping you learn how to do exactly what I'm doing, using your wisdom, your insight, your truth, and your storytelling to be a person who can make your mark on the media. What It Takes Radio is helping you, in effect, podcast, publish, perform, use what you have to spread your business, your good cause, your wisdom around the world. That's what we do, and we do it well. We can help you. Stan at witradio.net, and do it right. I've got over 40 years of business performance coaching, and we're in the business of helping you run, start, and provide the ways to be a world-class business entrepreneur, and even, as we say, a Jesus entrepreneur. We hope to dominate that category. Thank you for your time. Take care. Till next time. Bye for now.